but only one man knows how to read it. Under the morgue's white glare, silence hums like a secret. To Dr. Elias Ward, death doesn't whisper, it speaks. And tonight, a body has arrived with no visible cause, and a final text that shouldn't exist. Each word might be a clue. Each message, a confession written by the dead. Somewhere behind the glow of that phone screen, a killer thinks they've erased their trail, that their words have vanished with the bodies. You've met the man who listens to the dead. Now, here's how he does it. To most investigators, words are evidence. To Dr. Ward, they're fingerprints of the soul. He doesn't just read what's written, he hears what's hidden. He built his reputation decoding the unspoken, the hesitation in a suicide note, the misplaced comma in a ransom text, even the rhythm of guilt pulsing through a murderer's words. His mind is a tuning fork for deceit, vibrating with the sounds no one else can hear. When police exhausted every lead on a murder that made no sense, they turned to him, the man who listens to the language of death itself. What he uncovered would change how the world hears silence by the end of this story. You'll never read a message the same way again. What if your words could betray you? What if every message you've ever typed, every apology, every lie, every late-night text, was a fingerprint? To Dr. Ward, it is. He believes language leaks truth the way blood leaks DNA. The way you pause before a confession, the slang you use when you're nervous, it all becomes evidence. Now imagine someone weaponizing that. A killer so careful, they left no physical trace. But their words told a different story. Somewhere between psychology and murder, the linguist begins to hear what others can't. Patterns of guilt hidden in sentences. Echoes of obsession in punctuation. Because, in this case, the killer's voice wasn't recorded. It was written. It began quietly, a string of suicides across 3 cities in less than 2 months. Different victims, different lives, but the same words left behind. Each note read like a confession, perfect grammar, poetic despair, the kind of message that makes detectives sigh and close the file. To the police, it was tragedy. To Dr. Elias Ward, it was choreography. He noticed what no one else did, the same rhythm pulsing through every note. Repeated phrases, mirrored punctuation, a calm too deliberate for despair. He overlaid them on screen, watching the patterns flicker like a heartbeat. And for the first time, the pattern felt personal. Whoever wrote them wasn't gone. They were still out there, hiding behind the victims. Final words, pause. The language of death had just found its first translator. Dr. Ward fed each note through his algorithm, searching for emotional fingerprints. Then he found it. Identical sentence patterns, emotional flatline, and one chilling phrase repeating across them all. It had to end this way. Every message was engineered to mimic despair. Every phrase calculated to disguise a murder. But there was something else. Something familiar, like an echo from inside the police system. When Ward cross-referenced the notes against the national database, the result froze him. The phrasing matched internal police reports, written by one of their own, pause. And here's the craziest part, this isn't fiction. Cases like this changed forensic science forever. So subscribe, because the next twist will leave you speechless. Dr. Ward traced the patterns back to a single name, Detective Marcus Hale, a veteran officer. The man who'd quietly filed every case. Ward was now decoding. Hale's words were all over the evidence. But the most horrifying part wasn't that he was the killer. It was why. Inside each note, Ward found a code, fragments of Hale's own trauma, phrases lifted from psychiatric transcripts, stitched together like a confession written in other people's deaths. And then he saw it. Each note carried the initials of the next victim, arranged like a poem. When Ward finally confronted him, Hale smiled. He'd been studying Ward for years, mastering his methods, learning to speak in the rhythms the linguist couldn't resist. Beat. The hunter had become the study. The arrest shook the nation. News outlets called it the syntax murders. Courtrooms filled with experts debating whether language could be lethal evidence. And in the center of it all stood Dr. Ward, the man who proved guilt could hide inside grammar. His discovery revolutionized forensics, the rise of linguistic DNA, used to convict criminals who thought words were safe. But victory came with a price. Each phrase he'd decoded now haunted his mind, replaying like a chorus of ghosts. He stopped teaching, stopped speaking at conferences, because once you learn how to hear the truth behind every word, you can't turn it off. The dead were silent again, but in Ward's mind, they never stopped talking. Asterisk. Becomes evidence in Ward's world. Words condemned, but they were supposed to connect us. His work revealed a truth few dared to face. Language isn't just expression, it's a fingerprint. Every text, every post, every late-night message carries fragments of who we are, our fear, our guilt, our rage. As AI begins to analyze tone, emotion, and phrasing, the line between privacy and exposure thins. What happens when machines can read our intentions before we act? When the law no longer needs witnesses, only words. Dr. Ward once said, "The dead don't speak. They echo." But maybe it isn't the dead we should fear hearing from. Maybe it's ourselves. In his office, Ward keeps a wall of names. Every victim whose voice he helped uncover, each one crossed out in red ink, except the last. The blank space reminds him that silence never means safety, only waiting. Somewhere, another story is being written, another pattern taking shape. The killer is gone, but the method remains, because anyone who understands the language of death knows it always finds someone new to speak through. Some stories never end. They just wait to be read. If this story sent a chill down your spine, subscribe next time. We're decoding another case where truth hides in plain sight, maybe even in your own words.